weighing in on Trump and his staff, and in particular, Stephen Miller, who is the architect of the very popular policy when it comes to illegals, is ABC News's Terry Moran, their senior national correspondent. This guy's been with ABC since 1997. He was the chief White House correspondent under W, under Clinton as well. He was co-anchor of Nightline from 05 to 13. He was ABC News's chief foreign correspondent from 13 to 18. And he's been senior national correspondent for the past almost, 7, 8 years now. He also leads the network's Supreme Court coverage. This guy is as rabidly partisan as they come.
Correct.
He fits in perfectly at ABC News. Perfectly. And in a moment that was kind of stunning, but the sentiment not surprising from him, he got on X at 12:06 a.m. Sunday, meaning 6 after midnight Saturday night. Guarantee you the guy had been out.
Drunk.
Yeah, I mean, what else would make him take the mask down, like the veil's down? The sentiments are as they always have been, but the veil came down, and he decided to post the following on X. The thing about, just out of the blue, or maybe it's because of the LA riots, the thing about Stephen Miller is not that he's the brains behind Trumpism. Yes, he is one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement and translates them into policy. But that's not what's interesting about Miller. So far, we're okay. So far, he hasn't said anything he could say. What's interesting about him is that he's a great orator and he can sell it better than anybody. That tweet could have landed in a place that wouldn't have gotten him in trouble. But that's not where it went. He went on to say, it's not brains, it's bile. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He is a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. So this is supposed to be an objective, unbiased, right down the middle, not just correspondent, but chief national correspondent, a leader within ABC News. And I posted this on X after I saw it. He later deleted it when he probably sobered up, that he should have been fired immediately. There shouldn't have even been a discussion. This is
Correct,
beyond question a fireable offense for anyone whose job it is to maintain objectivity and to be trusted by the entire country, not just half of it. ABC News, having seen lots of tweets and feedback like that, announced the next day and told the Megyn Kelly Show directly, quote, ABC News stands for objectivity and impartiality in its news coverage and does not condone subjective personal attacks on others. The Post does not reflect the views of ABC News and violated our standards. As a result, Terry Moran has been suspended pending further evaluation from an ABC News spokesperson. Suspended, not fired. No apology to Stephen Miller nor to President Trump from either Moran or ABC, because let's face it, they all agree and are secretly applauding what he wrote.
Of course. I mean, every major journalist in the D.C. press corps, with maybe one or two exceptions, believes exactly what Terry Moran wrote. And what was his big contention? Was it evidence-based? Was it cited? No, it's how he looks. That's right, Megyn.
You can tell.
He says you could just tell. Okay, well, Terry Moran, we could just tell a lot by looking at you, but that's not relevant to this discussion, actually. You're a deeply unhappy person who's like rage tweeting at 6 minutes past midnight against the deputy chief of staff because you don't agree with him politically. I mean, okay, so media trust is at an all-time low, and it's only going lower. President Trump has an amazing ability to break these people and to really show them as a masks-off moment. And ABC has been at the forefront of the peddling of so many hoaxes the last couple of years. I'll be curious your thoughts, Megyn. I actually think he's probably going to be brought back because I don't think they want to try to show that, MAGA got a scalp. he'll be, be in the wilderness for 2 or 3 years and 2 or 3 months, try to recover a little bit and come back and say, at the time I was a little inebriated and said stuff I shouldn't, and boom, he's back and act as if nothing happened. But at its fundamental core, the journalists are activists. They're not trying to explore truth. They're not trying to challenge authority. These are activists. These are people, remember, that actively covered up the biggest political scandal in modern American history, if not American history, which was Biden's cognitive decline, which was who was running the country, who was signing the documents, and people like Terry Moran were actively calling people like me a conspiracy theorist, and you, Megyn, for even saying that he's not running the country. Instead, it's a unelected Politburo. So I'm actually kind of glad to see this. Terry Moran and his like deserve to be publicly humiliated, because the fact that he actually put this out in a tweet goes to show that the private feelings are finally being made public. But make no mistake, almost every single journalist that you are reading in the New York Times or CNN shares every sentiment that Terry Moran said publicly.
100%. They hate Stephen Miller. The first term, there were countless articles about how he's an alleged white supremacist just because he wants to enforce our borders. And that's really what Moran has to be referring to, because that's been the most out front position for Miller in Trump 2.0 too. And that's why he says you can see he's a world-class hater. You can see it just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. I think there's a bit of of projection there, right? Or transference, my mom would say it's called.
Totally.
In any event, where it's like his own hatred. It's his TDS right there, which I can see all over him. It's eating him up.
Absolutely.
And he's projecting it or transferring it onto Stephen Miller. Here, let me tell you a little bit about Terry Moran. Terry Moran, just a couple of examples of his past coverage of Trump. In 2021, he referred to Trump as the Führer in the Republican Party during ABC's coverage of the Trump impeachment trial, saying...
sounds impartial.
Yeah, that's what Trump reminded him of, that Trump has the Republican Party as a personalized power like we have never seen. It's a caudillo, it's a Caesar, it's a Führer. We don't see that in this country. We do now. He invoked Nazi-adjacent comparisons when describing Trump after his first inaugural address in January of 2017. It carries with it overtones from the 1930s, when an anti-Semitic movement said, we don't want to get involved in Europe's war. It's the Jews' fault in Germany. Charles Lindbergh led them. It's a term, as he defined it in his way, but the words carry ugly echoes in our history. That's how he interpreted Trump's inaugural address. And then let's just see, maybe he's tough on all presidents, Charlie. Maybe he's just got like an anti-authority strain, which is healthy in a reporter. Let's see what he did with Barack Obama when he was taking the office as president back in 2009. Oh, here's the quote. Barack Obama is the first president since George Washington to be taking a step down into the Oval Office.
Unbelievable.
He's above the Oval, you see.
Step down. Yeah.
Barack Obama had accomplished absolutely nothing other than being an Illinois senator and then a U.S. senator for one term.
For like 18 months. Yes, exactly.
And actually had absolutely nothing to point to as an accomplishment in that role. But see, he was taking a step down into the old, because he's above the presidency, whereas Trump is the Führer who's echoing Nazi language from the 1930s in his inaugural address. He got it. So to no one's surprise, he sees Trump and his chief deputy on policy as full of hate that's eating them alive.
And again, I want to just repeat this, that every single one of those people in those briefing room who pretend to be objective, they're identical to his viewpoint. And Megyn, this is why I think my podcast is growing and why your podcast is growing, is the American people realize that they have these supercomputers in their right-hand pocket, their iPhones. Why do I have to listen to you, Terry Moran? Why do I have to listen to you, David Muir? Why do I have to listen to you, NBC? I don't even know if Lester Holt is still there. I can't keep track of who's on what. I literally don't watch any of the networks. Yeah, I don't watch CBS. I don't watch ABC. I don't watch NBC. The only time I ever see them is when there's like a bubble up of something crazy that they say, like Margaret Brennan when J.D. Vance kind of delivered the truth to her. But the most important element of this is I wish we actually had a functioning media. It would be good for our country. It'd be good if people like Terry Moran weren't actually in charge as a senior national correspondent or someone that was in charge of the news flow in our country. We would have a much better nation. We would have a much stronger country. But instead, the press corps has done nothing to earn our trust. They never apologized after Russiagate, one of the greatest scandals. They actively covered up Joe Biden. They lied and lied and lied during COVID. 6 feet to slow the spread. The vaccine is safe and effective. You got to get masked and vaxxed to save your grandma's life. And we got to shut down schools. And these people have never apologized. They've shown no contrition whatsoever. And instead, they have hostility, not just to Stephen Miller, but to Trump's voters. And you could tell,
Yes.
Terry Moran, that kind of rage tweet at like 6 minutes past midnight, he's like obsessed with Stephen Miller. Like this guy is living rent-free in your head. That like Stephen Miller's existence is a threat to Terry Moran's inner peace. He's a deeply troubled person who's very unhappy, whose meaning is trying to destroy the lives of others. And that's the other sad part. Megyn, I agree. If you're kind of like an equal opportunity offender and you kind of go after everybody and expose Republicans, Democrats, fine. That's actually healthy in a reporter. But if you seek to be a reporter to make others' people's success go away or to destroy others, you're a masochist. Like that is at its core one of the more dark elements of the modern media core, where they don't want to actually expose stories. They want to take people out, specifically people in the conservative world.
They're in costume as they pose as the reporters of yesteryear. This administration is working very hard to try and fix this country. But while they're focused on fixing the country, they can't fix your personal finances. That's really up to you. And that's why thousands of Americans are turning to Birch Gold. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has risen by 30%. Think about that. How's your stock market investment doing? Has it gone up 30%? Have you made 30% on your money? And demand is strong and it's growing. While reports are that the BRICS nations are actively working to challenge the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, that's not great. In other uncertain times, gold has offered peace of mind. And in these uncertain times, it does the same. Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy to convert your existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA backed by physical gold. Or if you prefer, you can buy gold to store in your own home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, only useful information. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of protecting your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.